Hello there, this is Tammy from Texas Leather Design. I'm kind of doing something off leather right now. I'm using my xTool M1 Ultra, and I'm cutting out little pattern pieces, and I thought I would do a little tutorial on the process because I haven't really found a lot of information on how to go about things. So the first thing you're going to do is bring up your xTool Creative Space. Over here in the right hand corner, you'll see a button that says New Project. So you're going to click that. And it's wanting me to do an update. We're going to close that for now. And so I am going to click this little icon over here on the left for image. And I'm going to choose my image. I'm using PNG files. I'm sure this takes a lot of formats. I don't know what all of them are just yet. You'll notice when you start a new project in Creative Space for this tool, it defaults to lasering on a flat surface. Now you're going to click that because we're not doing laser engraving right now. We're using the blade tool. So we're going to go over here to blade cut, this little box, and choose our proper tool. And then now that we have our image in here, we want to go to this button that says trace. And so what it's going to do is create a vector image that it can utilize to make this cut for us. I haven't fooled around with any of these settings over here. I've just left it on default. It's worked perfectly. One thing I am going to do though is change this. I notice it defaults to this 119% for some reason. This image goes to a sewing pattern that already exists, and it needs to be at 100%, not bigger. So I'm going to say 100%, and then I'm going to say save. Now once I've done that, it defaults and starts giving you a lot of different options for the trace that you just did. But before we mess with those, we're going to click on the canvas itself, and you'll notice over here in the right hand pane you have two items. One is the vector that we just traced from our image. The other says not supported. That's your original file. You need to delete that. So just click it, hit delete on your keyboard on your computer, it's gone. All right, now we can go back in here and fool around with these parameters for this project we're working on. So it defaults to fine point blade. We're using the cutting blade, so we need to click that drop down arrow and choose cutting blade. And then that changes it to cut. Then we have some choices to make. This material that I'm using is vinyl. It is about 0.8 millimeters in thickness. I apologize, my dog thinks it's a good time to roll around in his bed and make a bunch of noise, so got that going on. I'm gonna change that number here. You can just click the box. I don't seem to be able to go and make a finite choice. So I'm just typing those numbers in as 450 and then unchecking that. Actually, I think being that this is that light of a weight of vinyl, we can probably just go with 350. So let's do that, 350. And say enter there. I'm not gonna change the speed because I don't really want this going crazy fast. So we'll leave that alone. Now we need to start looking at our canvas, and you'll notice our little X or plus sign for the crosshairs, I think, for the, it would be the laser, but in this case it's the module that's holding the cutting tool, is in the upper left hand corner, and that coincides to this little area inside of our M1. This is the M1 Ultra, and so you'll notice that there's those little crosshairs. Let me see if I can point down there. I can't imagine being a weather forecaster. I'd be terrible at it. Anyway, on the upper left hand corner of where our cutting mat is, but that's not where our materials are. Our materials are down here. So We're gonna go back over here to the software, and I'm gonna drag my materials down some, and you'll see the laser stays there. Now what we're gonna do is open this lid. This machine will not operate with this lid open, so I won't be able to show you the trace with the, or framing, excuse me, with the lid up, but you'll still be able to see it through the lid. So I'm gonna move this machine on the gantry over here to our left-hand corner. Let's see if you can see it. I'm gonna have to drop y'all down some. There we go. And so now you see my crosshairs are in the corner of my materials. Also, conversely, you'll notice now on our screen over here, it's moved from that upper left corner to down here where the actual position of it is. So I'm going to grab a hold of my item, my image vector, and drop it right there so that crosshairs is in the corner of my materials. That's more accurate. So now we'll go over here where you can see better, hopefully. Let me lower this just a little bit because that's kind of high for y'all. Apologies. There we go. Alright, starting to get in the zone. There. Okay, so now we're going to close the lid. And we're going to go back over here to our software. And you can see we're going to hit framing. And when we choose that, it's going to pop up a little box and it's showing us where we're going to press on this machine to start that framing process. And that's this little button right over here in the corner, silver guy. So we're going to press that. And you'll notice when we do that, that gantry is going to move and trace out our pathway of what our cut's going to be. That looks pretty good. So we're going to leave that alone. And we're going to go back over here to the computer and say framing completed. And we've already made our choices on our item. Our laser is obviously connected. So now we're going to go to process. And it's going to check some things and make sure that everything is good. It's reminding you to make sure you have that cut pad, cutting board. It's a little plastic thing up underneath your material so you don't damage your blade. So we've done that. So we're going to hit start. And after it does a little self check, it's going to tell us it's ready. So we're going to come back over here and hit our little silvery button. And now it's going to start doing its thing. I'm very impressed with how fast this is able to cut our materials. If I tried to cut this stuff out by hand, I'd have it looking like a hot mess. You notice I have some painter's tape on the edge of that. This little underlayment, this board, does have some sticky grip factor to it, but I've had all kinds of materials on this, and so mine's a bit dirty, and I like insurance, so I just use some little painter's tape to tape my vinyl. That way it doesn't wiggle on us. It just goes right along. Now I noticed it makes a little score pass at first, and then it'll go back and make another pass, a second pass, and that's actually where it cuts through the rest of the way. This little machine has not ceased to impress me so far. We started out with xTool with a D1 Pro and loved it so much. But I also sew handbags, and so I need it in order to cut some of the strap connectors and things like that. Plus there are other things I want to do with the rotary, so That's why we got this guy. About 20 more seconds on this cut and it will be done. There's some garbage in my file, obviously. It's cut something outside of the pathway of that. I had to edit my file in Photoshop. The lady sent PDFs with it instead of SVG files. Alright, that's it. So now it's safe for us to pick this lid up. You can see it's cut through my little materials there. And that's it. So there you go. Alright. Thanks. Have a good night.